This is Mikey with another After Effects tutorial. Today we're going to be creating a futuristic bike helmet. Now this was an effect I did in a recent quick little short I made just this week, and what I'm doing this for is I'm doing a giveaway. So this is iVue, and they are sponsoring a pair of these 1080p camera glasses. So there's all sorts of details in the description. There's going to be a link where you can go and sign up for the sweepstakes giveaway in order to win a pair. And I'll be drawing a name Friday morning. So you just need to go there and so you can win a pair of these camera glasses. Now these are the glasses that are in the video I created. They're the ones that the helmet turned into. That doesn't actually really happen in real life. But they're also the glasses I used to shoot the first person perspective. So we're going to give away a pair of these. This is the first time I've ever given away something that's an actual physical item. It's been software and different downloads before. But this is an actual physical item, so I'm kind of excited about this. But definitely go check out iVue camera. Really some cool stuff. So let's start with the tutorial. So how I did this was I have two shots. So I've got the shot of Brian wearing the helmet. This is Brian again. If you remember Brian, he's been in a few of my videos before. Give him a nice thank you for being in my videos and go check out his channel and subscribe to his channel. So there's the first shot. Second shot is him without the helmet doing the same thing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these things together and make the transition. So let's start with the without the helmet because this is what I want as my base layer. So there's my base layer. Let's bring in the shot with the helmet. Okay, now we need to kind of line these up so he's making the movements around the same time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to the point where right where he touches his glasses. And then let's move this to that same point. Now, here's the tricky part. I need to rotoscope out this helmet. And so I'm going to use the mask tracker. If you're not on After Effects CC, then it's not going to be quite as easy. You're going to have to go frame by frame basically with the mask tool. So let's go in and I'm going to use the mask tool. I'm going to zoom in and let's just do a quick mask around the helmet. Now what I want to do is before I do any tracking, I want to feather this out the way I want it. So I'm going to use the variable feather. So if you go up here where the pen tool is, click and hold, and then right there it's the mask feather tool. And what this does is I can feather more in some places and less in others. Add a feather mark here. Then I'm going to bring it in on the sides because I just really want it feathered down around the chin. And you need to do that beforehand. If you try to do the feather afterwards, it won't work after you track it. So to do a mask track, we come down here, highlight track, just right click on it. It says track mask. Brings up the tracker over here. I'm just going to hit the play forward. Okay, let's go ahead and start layering things in together. And so what I want is, let's name this top one, which would be helmet on, that bottom one, helmet off. So I'm going to take this top one, I'm going to pre-compose it. So Command-Shift-C or Control-Shift-C, make sure you move all the attributes. Click OK. And then what I want to do is I need to have several layers. So I want to have a helmet on layer on top, very top. And then I need to have just his head without the helmet. And then I need to have another helmet on comp and then this one behind it. So I need to have 4 layers for this. So I'm going to duplicate this, call that one helmet on comp back, call this one helmet on comp front. And then I'm going to duplicate this one helmet off, move it in between, and call this head. And what we're going to do with this, let's solo that, is we're going to do another track. Let's grab the pen tool. Okay. Let's go into the mask, track that mask, and we're going to track forward. And with this mask tracking, I'm just tracking the position. I'm not tracking rotation or anything. I just basic position because he's not moving a lot. If he was tilting his head from side to side, I would track rotation as well. Okay, so let's see what we've got going on. So top layer, helmet. Second layer is just his head. then the helmet, and then the whole thing. Let's go into that second layer. And let's feather that mask a little bit. Maybe bring in the expansion. And why I have two layers, why I have it sandwiched like this, is because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this layer here, the helmet on comp back. Let's add a tint to it. Let's take that white and bring it down almost gray. I want it to still kind of not feel just like a black solid. And then what we've got going on here is we've got layers. So it appears to be 3D somewhat. So now let's start our transition. Well, it looks like I've got a little bit of a halo going on here. So let's take that comp back. Let's add to that under matte, simple choker. And let's see what that looks like. There we go. Okay. Select my helmet on comp front. And you have to kind of think about this three-dimensionally. So since he's got his head kind of angled to the side, I want this to split right down the middle. So let's grab my mask tool. And the middle for this is going to be roughly, you got to kind of bring it down with a curve. About like that. And then what I'm going to do is let's go into that mask. Let's label this one right, because it's on the right side. Duplicate that mask. Name the second one left. And let's take the left, and I'm going to take the 2 points and move them over here. So that now I've got a right and a left side. So let's go to the point in which he hits the side of the... Okay, right there. That's where we're going to start our transition. So let's go into the right and the left. Keyframe the path. Let's go about 5 frames forward. And we're going to start to animate this. This is where you need to kind of imagine and pretend, what would this look like if this was really kind of animating in this way? I like to keep things a little bit round. And let's see kind of what that looks like. I like that. Let's go forward another 3 or 4 frames. And this is getting a lot smaller now. And we also need to kind of figure out where it's going to end. And I want these to kind of go right into the sides of these glasses. Okay, now at this point, where it's here on the side, I'm going to do some scaling and some changing the mask at the same time. So let's, at this point, let's go in and bring up my scale. And maybe my position too. And then let's scale this down. And then move the position. And then also move the mask. So it's right into the glasses. And then let's go back a couple of frames, and we're going to keyframe the opacity as well. And let's have that go down to 0. So let's take a look at this. Okay, so that's the front part, looking pretty good. Now let's do the same thing to the back. So let's go to the point where you can see a split, and let's grab the back. And with this, I just need 1 mask. I don't need 2. So let's kind of, again, think about how things are three-dimensionally. So I'm going to kind of come this way. And it cut everything out the wrong way, but that's fine. Let's go into the mask and hit subtract instead of add. And then go back to where it starts. And let's put a keyframe right at the beginning for the mask expansion. Let's keyframe the path as well. So then let's go forward 3 frames. And open up that back. And then let's also start to keyframe the path as well. And you want to think of it kind of like a ring going around his head. And you can see you want this line and that line to kind of match up like this. And I'm going to need to do some here on the bottom as well. And I'm not looking at my path. I'm looking at right here on the black where it's mixing. And I want it to look nice and smooth. Just go forward a few frames at a time. Now at this point we also need to, remember this was scaled, so let's go in and scale this back one as well. Let's scale it down a little bit. I'm just going forward a few frames at a time. Looks like I might have to move the position on this as well. And it's about there. And let's just cut that layer. Let's take a look at that animating. Okay, looking pretty good. So now at this point, I need to do a little bit of color correcting on that inner head. So the helmet comp is done. The back helmet comp is done. But right here, there's more sun inside there than there needs to be. So I need to darken up the edges. So what I'm going to do for that is bring in a new layer. Let's make it black. Comp size will do. Let's bring it down right above the head. I'm going to take that head that I already have tracked, duplicate it, stick it above, and call this head matte. And call this CC head for color correction. And then let's switch over to modes and switch this to alpha matte. And then I've got everything blacked out. I can come in here and maybe take the scale on that head. Let's go 101. Make it just a little bit bigger. This is the matte. Now let's take that black solid and mask it. So it looks something like that. And then bring up the feather. So I just hit F on the keyboard, and if you've got a mask and you hit F, it brings up the mask feather. And that's kind of the look I'm going for. You know what I do need is I need to have a way of letting the sunlight coming in. So I'm going to bring right up through the top. Have just kind of this point right there. Okay, so right here, I'm going to start keyframing the mask on this color correction black solid. So I went forward a few frames, and then let's move just these points. And then there's points down here as well that need to be moved. And let's move it all the way off. Let's take a look at that. It's looking pretty good. Maybe it needs to be a bit more feathered on that mask, just to soften it out. Okay, now let's go in and add some effects to the helmet itself, like we had in the example of the kind of the green grid. And since I pre-comped this top one, it's really easy to do that. All I have to do is just double click into it, and anything I add here is going to be affected on the helmet transition. So I don't want the grid to show up until right here, right when he hits the button. So I'm going to go to that point in the timeline, double click, and then that's where it is. It just brings everything over in the right timing. So I'm going to hit the marker button, which is the asterisk key on your 10 keypad. And so I know where to start this. So let's bring up a new layer. Doesn't matter the size or color. And then go to Effect, Generate, Grid. Set this to Width Slider. Then border down to like 2. Let's go maybe 3. That looks better. And let's change the color to the green. Terminator is red, but this guy's not, so he'll be green. And let's bring the opacity down a little bit. Okay. Now what we're going to do here is we need to make this kind of bulbous looking. So let's go to Effects and to the Distort. And there's a couple of ways of doing this. We can try like Bulge. Let's see what that looks like. And that's pretty close. Bring the bulge height up. Yeah, maybe let's bring the size down so they're a little bit smaller. And that's pretty close. But if we go back here, we've got this this big kind of a mesh thing going on. So let's go in here and let's duplicate that helmet. Let's call this matte. Bring this up to the top. And then let's do a track matte. And then that should cut everything out. Yep, looking pretty good. So then let's just keyframe the opacity on this. So it just kind of glows for a second and fades out. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Looking pretty cool. So let's add kind of like a nice glowy edge on this. So what to do for that is let's take this top helmet on comp, the one that goes in front. Let's duplicate this. Let's bring it down below and give it a name of front glow. I'm going to add color correction to this. Curves. Bump the green up. Now let's go into the mask on both the right and the left. And we're going to change the expansion. Probably not that far. Let's do it to 10 on both of them. One problem that we have going on though is down here there's kind of this green halo going on. And I don't want any of that to show until it's starting to transition. So let's go to the point, the very first part in which we want to see the green, and then let's cut that layer. So that's Option or Alt on the keyboard, and I hit the left bracket. So it adds a nice kind of a green edge to it. And if we can also come in here and let's go to that effect, and let's add just a blur to it. So it's like it's glowing underneath there. Okay, looking pretty good. Now let's just do an overall color correction on top of everything. So I'm going to add an adjustment layer, give it a name, CC for just color correction. Let's add some curves. Bump the contrast, and maybe come in here, this front comp, and let's add a glow under stylized glow. That's looking pretty cool, actually. And so I'm going to keyframe the intensity. So let's start right at the beginning. Give it a keyframe on the intensity. About right here. Let's increase the intensity. Bring it down. Okay, let's take a look at that. Now, one thing that I did notice here, there's a slight line. So I'm going to need to go into that front helmet and on the expansion, just take one of them and move it 1 pixel. And there's something that is making a back halo. What is it? So it's this glow. And what I need to do is I need to make it turned off. And so I'm going to go to this point, which the glow is starting to glow up pretty good. And this is another thing, if you've got After Effects CC, you can do this. So I'm going to go into the effects, into glow, then at the very bottom there's this compositing options. If I go in there, I can turn that down. So let's go leave it at 100%, keyframe it, go back a couple of frames, and bring it down to 0. Okay, looking pretty good. Let me add some motion blur because there is some movement here. And then I'm going to render it out, see what it looks like. Okay, so there it is, looking pretty cool. Now, I want to thank iVue for sponsoring the giveaway of these camera glasses. They're really cool, and if you want to see some of the footage from it, there's some great videos on their site showing all the cool shots you can get with this. So make sure you go and sign up for the competition. One of my lucky viewers will win a new free camera glasses. So really awesome. And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm hearing rumors that there's also going to be a nice little offer to all those of my subscribers that didn't get a chance to win, some sort of discount if you are looking to get a nice pair of camera glasses. So go and sign up for the competition. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, just put them down in the comments below. Tell me what you thought of this tutorial. And the other part of the tutorial, doing the Terminator vision, which I had shown in the video from a couple days ago, that's on the list of things to do. So if you really wanted to see that one instead of this one, don't worry, I am going to get to that. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.